Today we'll be taking a look at Dishonored 2 on the Potato Masher Pro. In case you don't know, the Potato Masher Pro is a side series to the main Potato Masher where I take a GTX 1060 and toss it in the Potato Masher to compare it against the PS4 Pro. The goal is not to pick on the PS4 Pro, but to show you what type of experience you can have with a budget PC. Links are in the description if you want more information, and let's get to it. Well, this is going to be quite a bit different than the regular Potato Masher review. If there's one thing us PC gamers are good at, it's throwing money at poorly optimized games until we bend them to our will. The GTX 1060 in the Masher Pro is by most definitions a mid-range card. However, as 1080p becomes a budget resolution for PC gamers, even mid-range cards can surprise you with just how good they are. First, let's remember that the primary comparison with the Masher Pro series is 1080p. 4K is great and all, and I personally game at 4K on my own rig, but most people are going to be playing their PS4 Pros and PCs on 1080p screens, and that's the resolution you guys are most interested in. So, we'll start there. The PS4 Pro is capable of 1440p if you're plugged into a 4K display with this particular game, but if you're using a 1080p display, you don't get any super sampling or other graphical benefits. You're stuck with the exact same quality and resolution that you get with the base PS4, just with less resolution downscaling and fewer frame rate drops. Now, don't get me wrong, that's good, but that's not quite what you'd hope to see with the premium version of a console. However, it's also worth noting that due to Dishonored 2's art style and very respectable anti-aliasing, resolution supersampling doesn't give you as much benefit as it usually does in other games, so in that respect it does make some sense that the developers chose to lock the console to 1080p unless you're using a high-resolution screen. I still would have liked to see better graphical settings on the PS4 Pro, because the Masher Pro has that option. At 1080p and very high settings, and locked at 30fps, the Masher Pro rarely exceeds 60% GPU usage. It's clearly capable of quite a bit more, and it already looks better than the PS4 Pro. Textures look almost identical, but the Masher Pro has noticeably better lighting, shadows, and ambient occlusion. Aliasing is similar across both platforms. While Dishonored 2's art style holds up well across most of its visual settings, there is a clear advantage at the highest settings. Now, normally we look at higher frame rates next, but you're probably curious if the Masher Pro is capable of running the game at higher resolutions. After all, the PS4 Pro is capable of 1440p, so is the Masher Pro? Yeah, that's not that hard. 1440p is over 70% more pixels than 1080p, but it's also well within reach of most modern cards. At very high settings again, and still locked at 30fps, the Masher Pro does great. We'll get back to 1440p in a minute, but the Masher Pro can also play the game at 4K, high settings, and 30fps. For all these resolutions, I'm leaving the highest quality dynamic resolution scaling enabled, but it doesn't appear to be in use most of the time, so you can assume you're seeing native resolution or very close to it in these comparisons. That goes for the PS4 Pro and the Masher Pro. On a 1080p or 1440p screen, super sampled 4K doesn't give you a ton of benefits over native resolution with this game. I honestly wouldn't turn the resolution up that high unless you have a 4K screen. So you can see what you're missing, I've recorded this opening section on my personal computer at native 4K using Shadowplay. It's locked to 30fps as well, and I've zoomed in so you can see the difference in the clarity and detail that's resolved at this resolution. So better visuals and much better resolution options. The Masher Pro is doing great so far, but how about 60fps? This is an action game after all. Now, high frame rates are of subjective value. Some people are perfectly content at 30fps. Some people swear by 100fps or above, and most of us fall somewhere in the middle. I've enjoyed plenty of games at 30fps like The Witcher 3 and Total War, but when possible, and especially for action games like Dishonored 2, I prefer 60. Now of course if you're playing the game on a super stealthy playthrough, 30fps might be fine. So here the Masher Pro is set to 1080p and high settings. The game's optimization isn't great, so you'll notice that the frame rate is not locked at 60. It has plenty of dips down into the 50s in some sections. Overall, it's very playable though, and it's much better than 30fps. At 1440p and medium settings, the Masher Pro is also able to maintain 60fps most of the time, with the same small drops in some sections. Moving up to 4K resolution and down to very low settings, not even dynamic resolution scaling can keep the frame rate at 60 the entire time. Drops to 45fps are rare, but the frame rate is almost always in the low to mid 50s. If you have a G-Sync or FreeSync 4K monitor, go for it. Otherwise, I'd probably stick to 1440p and 60fps or 4K and 30. So it's a bloodbath, right? The Masher Pro just runs away with another victory? Well, not quite. You'll remember from the regular Masher review that the PC version of the game has a few curiously long load times in the beginning sections of the game, and performance isn't very stable on any platform. The Masher Pro does look quite a bit better than the PS4 Pro version, and it even looks better when it matches the PS4 Pro's best resolution of 1440p while also doubling the PS4 Pro's frame rate. No doubt about it, the Masher Pro is the winner. Still, the game is far from a polished jewel. I think it's fun and it's probably worth playing if you get a good deal, but I also won't be using this game as a benchmark for incredible visuals or performance anytime soon. If you haven't watched the normal Masher review of Dishonored 2, check it out and consider subscribing to the channel or supporting me on Patreon if you enjoy my content. Thanks for watching and have a great day.